The lion, a symbol of African pride synonymous with strength. The design is from the year 2015. It is simple and yet refined. Even though this is almost 10 years old, currently there are a handful of them still for sale at APMEX. This silver bullion coin from the nation of Burundi has a story to tell, a story so deep that even I was caught off guard. Find out why you need this coin in your collection today on the Culture of Currency. We need to first understand Burundi so that we can assess the true story that this coin should have when you look at it. Burundi has a culture rich with history but not wealth. This nation is next to Tanzania, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is one of the most densely populated places in Africa, and yet it is slightly smaller than the state of Maryland by size. Most people have never heard of this land, which is somewhat of a shame. Burundi has been the victim of the atrocities of humanity. The average yearly income, according to the CIA, is $700 a year, but what I have researched, it seems to be much lower. The majority seems to come in at about $10 to $15 a month. This would be American dollars, of course. The overwhelming majority of workers in here are in the agricultural industry, which tend to prop up the wealthy in their exports. Many of us remember the Rwandan genocide of the 1990s. Burundi is basically the exact same story, except we're going to switch the Hutus and Tutsis. Rwanda since then has come far, where Burundi is still left behind with desolation. Women on average have 6 children and disease is rampant. In fact, today's coin, which some say was minted by the Austrian Mint, but I cannot verify that, has probably never been seen by the people of Burundi other than some of the elites. It states that the coin is 5,000 francs in Burundi currency, which as of today is roughly $1.75 US, but the coin is being sold for around $30 up to $100 for graded varieties, and that equals at the low end 85,000 francs. This is a place that my heart wants to visit with mounds of money to hand to the people, and who knows, one day I might be able to do just that, but today is not that day. Despite being poor and destitute, these people are overwhelmingly religious, as 80% of the population identifies with some form of Christianity, which may be due to the influence of being under Belgian rule in their past. They are a humble and meek people, and yet they still praise the Lord, which is something I find rather beautiful in a place of human atrocity. Now that you understand a little bit about the nation of Burundi, let's take a look at the coin. When we gaze upon the obverse, we are met with a male lion and lioness laying in the grass. A fixed gaze is held by the lioness as the male looks off in the distance. Another element is the beautiful tree, which in the description from APMEX, which describes it as a baobab tree. This is a baobab tree, and as we can see, wherever APMEX got its description has missed the mark yet again. This tree is definitely not a baobab tree, but rather another species, maybe an acacia. But I digress. We also see a rather beautifully done front. I love the way that they've extended the first and last lettering, and love that they have raised a rectangle to hold the text, as often on coins we see the words just kind of placed on plain, and that can be lost in the design. This is a fantastic coin of an earlier time, and I score it an 8. When we move to the reverse, we have another male lion with a fixed gaze upon the viewer. This is a timeless look, but by today's standard, we would probably not see this as overwhelming, but in 2015, there were not that many interesting designs afoot. It is a rather pleasant lion. We see that it has the designation of the Republic of Burundi, as well as the year being 2015. We see the text below housed on rhythm, which translates to unity, work, and progress, which are 3 things I pray find their way to this torn land. The weight, purity, and monetary designation are also present. It is a simple design and yet pleasing. I scored a 7. When we look upon mintage, we have a mintage of 50,000, which is a solid number and is probably the reason I was able to get one. If this 2015 coin had a mintage of 10,000, I probably would never have access to it. Mintage scores a 7. Now for cultural significance. We have a coin that features lions. Both sides have large cats, and that is a direct reflection of Burundi, as the lion is a primary symbol for Burundi. And yes, there are areas of Burundi where lions are still found, most notably the national parks and reservations involving savannas. This coin does speak Burundi to a degree, but I think having notable English on the coin is a detraction, as it is not a common language in the country. I scored an 8. We head next to collectability. We have a coin sitting at almost 10 years old and a fairly low mintage. It has a classic design and features one of the most collectible big cats. It might not be overly rare, but it is quite collectible, as you can see by these listings on eBay. Some of these, which were graded, have even sold for almost $100. This being said, I think it is collectible to stackers, as it is silver. It is a great coin for nature lovers or African aficionados as collectors. As we can see, it also would have been quite the investment coin if you purchased it in 2015, as the average closing price of silver was in the mid $15 range. I scored a 9. Now for uniqueness. Burundi is a nation that I do not see much in bullion form. The design, though unique, does feature an animal that is done on occasion, but surprisingly, I find less lions in the marketplace than one would expect. It seems the tiger and leopard are the cats that I see most often. When I look at this coin, it does scream Africa and has a unique quality, but it is not as unique as, let's say, a chiwu is to Korea. That being said, I scored a 7, which brings us to our final thoughts and score. This lion coin comes from the nation of Burundi and is working towards being 10 years old, and yet because it is a classic design, it is still pleasing to the eye. It crosses the line at 46, which is quite a strong showing from this coin. There is nothing this coin scored a 10 on, but there are no areas where it simply was mediocre. So moral of the story, this coin is worth considering on a multitude of reasons laid out earlier, but at the least, now that I have learned about Burundi, I shall pray for these people when I look upon this coin. I will hold their hopes when holding this ounce, and I hope that a brighter day lies ahead. There are fascinating videos on YouTube worth a watch if you would like to know more, and if you wish for me to share one with you, let me know in the comments. And as always, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.